I get a phone call a few years ago. A guy on the other line says, I don't want to tell you my name. I live in a small town in Oregon. I was born Jewish. I'm a retired psychoanalyst. And for the last 36 years, I've been practicing Christianity. But now that I'm getting older, I would like to feel connected to my people. So what can I do to feel connected to my people? So I said, you get a pair of tefillin, you put them on every morning, you'll feel connected to your people. He says, I can't do that. Every time I've tried to do something Jewish, it's been a bad experience. So I said, nobody's Jewish because it's been a good experience. If you do what God needs from Jews, then you'll feel like a Jew. If you do what God needs from non-Jews, you won't. He says, God needs? I've never heard of that. So I'm losing patience with this guy. Doesn't tell me his name, asks for a suggestion. I give him a suggestion. No, he can't do anything Jewish. What exactly do you want? And now he's arguing theology with me. So I very impatiently said, look, God is infinite, right? He says, yes. In all things, right. He's infinitely patient, he's infinitely kind, he's infinitely knowing, so he must also be infinitely vulnerable. He says, vulnerable? God is vulnerable? God is almighty. So he had stepped into the trap. I said, doctor, are you suggesting that vulnerability is a weakness? He got very flustered and he hung up the phone. A couple of days later he calls back, still doesn't tell me his name. He says, where do I get the tefillin? I said, why all of a sudden? He says, well, because coming from my professional background, I can't accept Christianity. I said, after 36 years? He says, no, you got to understand. From my professional background, if somebody says, I love you very, very much, but you can't hurt me, that's manipulation. That's not love at all. So the message that God loves you very, very much, and if you're not interested and you don't care, then you'll go to hell forever. That's not love. That's manipulation. So that's it. I can't. Anyway, I didn't hear from him for a while, and about a year ago, he called me up. He says, I just want to tell you I've moved from this little town in Oregon where there are no Jews. He moved to Pico Robertson. Like, whoa, I say, you're going from one extreme to the other. I still don't know his name. But the point that he makes is a very good one. How can you claim that God loves you if he's not vulnerable? There's no such love. How can you claim God loves you if, should you reject him, he couldn't care less? What kind of love is that? So it's not possible that God, who claims to love us, is not hurt by our rejection. And it can't be that God loves us only to the degree that he'll do us a favor and tell us how to stay out of hell, how to be saved from Satan. Can't be. If God claims to love us, then it must be a legitimate love. And a legitimate love means you love someone who might hate you back. And that's why we have had a very interesting, powerful, meaningful relationship with God over the last couple of thousand years. We've been angry at him, he's been angry at us, he's hated us, we hated him. This is real stuff. And in the end, he's not leaving and we're not leaving. He's our God and we're his people. And in the end, it'll all be good. That's a relationship. So the Baal Shem Tov was saying, you wake up in the morning, you have reason to be happy because you are involved, committed, stuck in a profound, intimate relationship that will never go away. What have you got to be sad about?